Yellow Jacket Insider. I'm Mark Womack with head men's basketball coach Pat Estep. Pat, I have to go back to that Grand Valley State game, and that was a real marquee win for your program, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. You're dealing with an established Division II team that got a lot of history in NCAA Division II, and for our guys, I thought it was one of the most complete games we've played all year. We've had a few games where I thought we've done really well on the defensive end, but for the whole 40 minutes, I thought we defended really well in that game. Offensively, obviously, we shot really well in the second half, but when we competed, it was a hard-fought game, and we were fortunate to be able to pull that thing out and get a little bit of a cushion down the stretch. But all in all, probably the best game we've played for 40 minutes for the whole season. So, and when you consider, that's one of those wins that's kind of a program win. When you're changing divisions, you're playing a team that everybody associates with NCAA Division II, and to be able to pull out that win, that was big for our program. So
had a great crowd, and it had to be exciting not only for the players but for you guys as coaches too.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun to coach and play whenever you're in that kind of environment because they actually help you out. When you're trying to get your guys fired up to get a big stop, it's really hard when you're the only guy standing up yelling to do it. But when you got a big crowd and they're really vocal and they're fired up for the game, that definitely makes it easier. And they were a huge factor in that win. They were really loud, and when we needed them, they were there. So
then you went to Notre Dame, won by 13, and a great start to that game for your team.
Yeah, I thought we really I thought we were unselfish early on. And we were actually defending pretty well in the first half. It was one of those games where, the defensive field goal percentage wasn't where we wanted it, but it wasn't that way because we had a few turnovers that they hit. I bet they had 4 baskets off turnovers. So those are, you take away those 4, and all of a sudden we're defending at a pretty high level. I thought we defended really well in the first half. I thought we really got the ball where we needed to. Especially at the beginning of that game. And that's one of the things we've done in the last couple games, got off to really good starts. We've got to learn how to, it's one of those games, sometimes you get you got a 10 to 15 point lead for a long time in a game, and you start to relax a little bit, and you think, well, we can get this back up here if we lose it. And you kind of lose your focus. And I thought we did that a little bit in the second half of the Notre Dame game. We kind of lost our focus, got a little sloppy. And they kept playing hard, so when those two things happen, they're going to make a little bit of a run. But we have been playing a little better to start games. And, even at the beginning of the Wilberforce game, I thought we started really well, and then we got a little lax. So.
Well, it's a good segue. You won that Wilberforce game by 20 back at home. Was not a 20-point game, but what were some of the keys?
Well, I think the major key was we started defending in the second half. We charted 18 out of 22 possessions where they got shots right under the basket. You're not going to win. We were fortunate to have a lead, allowing that to happen. So, that was probably the major key was we needed to do that. I thought we rebounded well, but we just really made them work for their shots. We didn't give them any easy buckets. I think they scored 19 in the second half after a 40-point first half. So. The primary thing was just our intensity and our urgency on defense. We didn't have in the first half, and we picked that up at halftime. So.
Walsh is in town for the Little Sibs weekend game. Always a headliner game on the schedule. Beat you by 1. What are going to be some things your team has to do to win?
Well, first of all, we got to defend, and we got to rebound. And I think those are two things that Walsh does really well. They're going to get high percentage shots, and they're going to rebound the ball really well. So we got to make sure we can control the boards. I did not think we defended very well there. And they give us some matchup problems. They don't have Kornowski anymore, so they don't have a back-to-the-basket guy. Their post player at Sutton is going to face up. So now all of a sudden BG's got to guard a guy that's a little quicker. You're going to face him up. And, we got to keep him out of foul trouble. He has to be effective. He was not as effective in that game as he has been in other games. And then everything for us is going to start on that end. If we can defend at the level we're capable of defending, like we did against Grand Valley, Urbana, some of these teams, then offense all of a sudden becomes a little easier. You're not playing against a set defense. You got them in transition. And we are talented enough offensively that if we can get you on your heels a little bit because we're getting a stop and we're in transition, then we're giving ourselves a good chance to get a high percentage shot. So.
Okay, that's the latest on Cedarville University men's basketball. He's Pat Estep. I'm Mark Womack. Thanks for watching Yellow Jacket Insider.